There's a bit of a difference between singer-songwriter and top liner. Okay, so singer-songwriter is somebody who writes and um, uh, sings and writes the song, while a top liner is basically given already a piece of instrumental, right? So it could be a piece of instrumental track, and then you will sing a line on top of that to create the other half of the song.
Right.
So basically, you top over the line, if you think about it that way. So a producer would probably come to you and say, hey, I got a couple of tracks, instrumentals, right? Can you do a top line for me? And this could be given to a vocalist or anybody really. I mean, it could be even another instrument on top of that, but it's usually a vocal. Oh, there's Claire now.
Hi everyone.
Hey, Claire,
Hey, how's it going?
how you doing?
I'm doing
You got your
okay.
glasses on today.
Yes, long day of being on the computer, so it's got to that time where the eyes need a little bit of help.
Ah, good, good. So good to have you again.
Good to see you. How are you?
This is our third time, isn't it? To do that.
I know.
This is
Yeah.
the third time.
Thanks for having me back 3 times. I'm so lucky.
You're very welcome. Well, listen, we have a much more intimate group.
Love it.
As you can see, we're gonna go deep today.
Perfect. We can get
We're
into
gonna
everyone's songs, that means. Love it.
we're gonna go right in, and we're gonna even have extra like even solo stuff. So let me just introduce Claire to everybody. This is Claire Dove, and she's a singer, songwriter, teacher, solo artist as well. And she, well, I mean, what Claire does is she's has her hands in so many pies at the moment, right? She's well, she's worked with producers in LA and London, but as well as that, she's also worked with and mentored with a lot of new artists, and I think she really enjoys doing that as well. So lots of writing for new artists and mentoring new artists. Um, but then she's also done a lot of like writing for brands, and I think that's another new thing that you're doing now, writing for brands. And you also have an artist project now. How do you have to help me pronounce this? Is it GRL Bunny or is it Girl Bunny?
It's Girl Bunny.
It's a Girl Bunny. Okay,
Yeah.
it's Girl Bunny. Um, and finally, what she also does is well, she's also have done a lot of sync licensing and recording for EMI and Sony and a lot of stuff like that. So this is kind of really important stuff for musicians and artists right now to make sure that that's how we keep ourselves, our longevity going, and that's why it's so important to make sure we know how to create revenue for ourselves and everything else like that. So it's really important to have our basket full of different things. Can you just briefly, before we jump in, explain the Girl Bunny project so we can have an idea, Claire?
Yeah, totally. So as Ian so kindly introduced me, yeah, I have my fingers in a lot of pies. I'm sure lots of you will kind of resonate with that idea that when you work in music and the creative industries, you need to just say yes to as many opportunities as you can. And I've been working in the industry professionally for over 10 years, and that means that I just have ended up being fortunate enough to work on lots of different projects and get to be involved in lots of different pockets of the industry, which is just really wonderful. Girl Bunny is just my solo creative project. And for me, it just created a space where I'm not writing for other artists, I'm not pitching for anyone, I'm not like trying to fit into anyone's box of what they're looking for their advert or their sync or this library album or what this artist is working towards. It's just a space where I can kind of get back to the reason why I got into music in the first place, which is because I love making music and that's how I express myself. And for a little while, I was so sort of overwhelmed with trying to really get in the door with working for other people that I was starting to get a little bit lost in the mix of like why I just truly love music and the thing that brought me there in the first place. So I wanted just to have a place where I could just express myself and make whatever. And the reason why I released that music under Girl Bunny as opposed to Clare Dove is at this point, people that know Clare Dove know me for writing for the other artists, and they know me for all this other work I do, and they know me for coaching and mentoring and all of that wonderful stuff that I'm so lucky to do. I just wanted to be able to have a persona in a space that was not attached to any of that, that was completely free, experimental, no limits, to just create whatever I want to do and to not feel like it has to represent any part of my existing professional or creative life. It's just fun. And I think that's like the most important thing when we're creating music, and we can forget that sometimes. So Girl Bunny is just fun.
I love that. I love it. I mean, every artist does need that because because that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to express yourself honestly, right? And
Totally.
that's essentially what it is. So I think that's a great platform for us to kick off this. Let me just introduce everybody since there's only like a few of us in the room.
Yeah, please.
We got Stephanie Williams, and she's based in Stephanie, where are you based?
Delaware, United States.
Delaware.
Amazing. Hey, Stephanie.
There we go.
And then we have Breeza. Breeza, where are you? Breeza, you're on mute.
Yes, I know. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
And then we got, oh, hey, Dritty, you just came in.
Yeah, hey.
Hi, Dritty, we just introduced Claire. She's in the room. And where are you calling from, Dritty?
I'm from Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Perfect. Okay. Roland.
Hey, Claire.
Hey, how's it going, Roland?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
So you know the Roland's in New York. And
we go way back.
And finally, Mr. Stanford Edwards.
Hi, how do you do, Claire?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Very good.
Whereabouts are you, Stanford?
I'm in New York. I'm originally, Manhattan born, native.
Amazing.
There you go. Okay, so so what we've done here, the way that this group has actually turned out to be, it's turned out to be sort of like a top line type of exercise.
Nice.
So the groups that I've put people into have had people who basically write the instrumental. There's one person that does the instrumental, and then the person does the vocal on the top.
Yeah.
So we have two groups for that. I'll just go straight. Let's go straight, kick off into the tracks, and then we can maybe talk about maybe top lining a little bit as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me just share the screen, and the first group, just see what's what. This is NYC songs. This is Roland and Sanford and Breeza and Dritty.
Yes.
Right, okay. Here we go. Oh, hold on a second. I didn't change that. Let me just stop that for a second. I need to share the sound. All right. Hear that?
I'm so afraid in the feel safe in the space. Constantly watching over my shoulder, and there's nowhere to run away. Where's a hero that can save? Someone's got to be out there watching, hearing all these errors of pain. All these cries of pain, nothing was ever the same. But you're all I ever wanted, all I ever wanted. Nothing about this will change. You're all I ever wanted, all I ever wanted. Don't change up on me. You got this something, don't let nothing be a modern fate. The chatter, you matter, and how you see the world today. Cover messed over my face. Am I protected or just curtain away? The wind will blow it away. I don't know what or who to believe. Everyone's got that something there, slow and where I should put my faith. Where should I put my belief? Steady time slips away. The days getting shorter, nights are colder, everyone's fighting to escape. Happiness once had a recipe, the blind could see. Now the glass is half empty. Nothing was ever the same. You were all I ever wanted, all I ever wanted. Nothing about us will change. You are all I ever wanted, all I ever wanted. Don't change up on me. You got that something, don't let nothing be a moderate fate. The chatter, you matter, how you see the world today. I'm bigger, I'm better, I'm waiting for the world to change. I'm bigger, I'm better, I'm waiting for the world to change. For the world to change. Waiting for the world to change.
Yeah.
Nice, NYC crew. Love it.
Right.
Just remind me who worked on this song.
Hands up, guys, who worked on it there.
Raise your hands.
Amazing. Yeah. Love it. Really cool. Just tell me a little bit about the process of making this song. Like, how long did you get to spend on it? Who kind of did what? Like, fill me in on kind of the process.
So Sanford created the track, and then I wrote over top of it and created the words and the melody.
Mm-hmm.
Riza put her production stamp on that, her effects, and she sang underneath me and created that whole ethereal vibe that we got going.
I love that. Yeah, really nice. Yeah. So immediately I was like really struck by that ethereal vibe. It almost felt like ghostly when it came in. And I like really love that. I also think the main melody you've got running through the song is really strong. That like da 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 da. That's really strong. I really love that. One thing I would say is as the song went on, I started to lose a little bit where we were with it. And the main reason is because the majority of the melodic and rhythmic pattern of the song stays in the same kind of area. We don't travel too far away from the initial idea. And sometimes we get kind of caught in that because the chord progression of a song doesn't change. But actually, that's no reason for our like melody and our flow to stay in one place. There's lots of songs that have the same chord progression all the way through, but we can introduce lots of different melodies. So what I would love to hear is some different sections within this song to give us more impact and more emotional arc. So if we're having a section that's around our da 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 da, and we're all around this area and we're only using like a handful of notes, challenge yourself to be like, cool, let me take it to another section. What feels really different? Where haven't I gone before? What's an interval we haven't used? Let's try like a da 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 da. Like, let's try something different. Let's not start our melody on the beginning of every bar. Let's try something different. And I think that will give the song a little bit more shape, which then will contribute more to the feeling of the song. I think this is something, if you've come to like workshops with me before, I always talk about like the building blocks and the structure of how we build out our melody and our top line. And we can always, if we want to, we can always ignore all of that information and just do our own thing if it feels right. But I think those are good things to come back to. So let's kind of just recap for everyone, like some of those things that you might have heard me talk about before. So when we have the verse of our song, the verse is that moment where we really want to bring the listener into our story. We don't need to go all over the place with our melody. We can kind of keep it in that place where this song begins, where the listener's instantly like, oh, there's a story here. I want to hear more. This is great. Lyrically, we can use a few more words. We don't need to be too concise. We can say what we really want to say to draw the audience in. After our verse, though, we need to go somewhere else. Otherwise, the song starts to flatline a little bit. We need to take it somewhere else. So typically out of our verse, we'll have a pre-chorus. And that's a little section that melodically is just going to start to lift us up. It's going to build up the energy of our song. And then we're going to land in our chorus. And that is going to be our high point of the song, where we have our most memorable melodies. So if you already have a melody that as a group, you feel like in your top line, like, yes, that's our chorus. It's so catchy. That's the bit that every time we work on this song, I come away from it and I'm singing that little nugget. Then that might be your chorus. And then you need to work around that so that not everything sounds the same. Like for our verse then, okay, let's take it somewhere really low. Let's take it somewhere different. Let's make it really rhythmical, or let's make it really spaced out. You know, we want it to feel different. We want it to have a bit more kind of movement and light and shade. So I think with this song, that's what I would love you to do next. Pick out your favorite moments that you're like, yeah, this part is really working for us. This is the part that we always come back to. You had a part towards the end as well. I can't remember the lyric now, but it's like a repeated line that sort of went round. And that section was really grabby as well. I was like, oh, that's like a really nice tag. Like, that's a great part of the song.
I'm bigger, I'm bright, I'm bigger, I'm better.
Yeah, I think that was the bit. Yeah. And it was really earwormy. But I think there were some other moments in the song which haven't quite been sort of fleshed out yet. They started to just get a little bit lost in the mix of the kind of general vibe.
Did you
Claire,
think
when I originally wrote the piece, I had it developed into sections. There was a lot of dynamics. There's an intro. There's a verse with a pre-chorus. Then there's the chorus, and then there's another little break. So there's a lot of dynamics in it. It gets a little washed out with the melody, so you can't really appreciate it. And then I think I understood yesterday that Roland said you wanted me to put the time for the verse and the chorus so you could work within that. But when I heard the piece, I didn't really have any work on the melody. I just worked the production. I had the backing track, the rhythm track, and the guitar and the bass. That's what I did. Yeah. Brisa put a little some production skills. She came up with some virtual drums, but apparently, it wasn't finished. still kind of like, so
Yeah.
I have the original version, which is just the guitar, bass, and I think it's a click track. So
Yeah, but that's
really
all good. That's just part of the nature of sort of working in this way, which is cool because it's just a new way of working compared to if, you were all in the room together. And I think it's really important that we always stay sort of malleable with the whole song until we're all like, yes, we have finished and found our landing point. So I really love that you kind of mentioned like, oh yeah, in the production there is more structure going on, because I did notice that as well, and that's fantastic. I think to take the song on a whole to a new level is some of the top line needs to take into account those kind of things I mentioned. And then as the kind of producer, it's like a constant like little ping pong, because you've created an instrumental that has already give some of those cues. So then with the top line, let's take it a bit further to play into those moments of build. And then it's going to come back to you and you're going to say, oh, cool. Now that melody gives me a great idea for how to make this piece of the music shine even more. And then something you do is going to inspire another production part. So it's all a constant process. We don't want to be too rigid in saying like, this part's done or this part's done. Like we're going to keep as a group just adding little things. And you might change your mind. Something that you originally as a producer saw as a chorus, you might then be like, oh, actually what they've done like makes it feel like a different section, but that's great, like let's go with that. So yeah, great that you built like dynamic into the track. I think let's try.
Can I just add as well to
Yeah.
what I just said there? It's so right. In terms of the top lining, it is a back and forth between the producer and the top liner, the singer, because it can be like the producer goes, okay, here's my piece of music. The top liner goes, okay, well, I'll try this. I'll put a little bit of extra, and it goes back to the producer, and the producer goes, oh, that wasn't quite, what I had thought, but some parts are really cool. Okay, what if you try that? So it is really a constant thing. And I mean, I'm sure Claire can testify to the number of times, that has gone back and forth in terms of the top lining process.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sometimes a producer will send me something and then they'll voice note me and be like, also the way that I heard the chorus, just to give you an idea. And I'll play the song and I'm like, no, like that's not the kind of chorus I imagine at all. And I send them back something and they say, oh, I love that. I never would have thought of that. But hey, like that idea that I had, I think would really be cool. And like we just keep bouncing it back and back. Or, sometimes they'll have written a bridge and I'm like, oh, I totally heard that as just like a breakdown chorus. Like that's how I felt it. And, we just stay flexible and keep going back and forth. But it really is part of the process, especially if you're working like this remotely. And it can be a little bit kind of stop-start because you're waiting for someone to send you something and then you weren't there when they made it. And you're like, oh, okay, let me get on this page with you. So it's a process. This whole way of working remotely and sending stuff to each other is a whole like creative process in itself that's different from writing a song in a room together. But I say all this to say you've made a really great start. There's really there's beautiful stuff here. I love just the overall vibe of it. I love the atmosphere. There's really strong melodies, and I think now you're in a good place to take on some of those little cues and take it to the next level. Roland, hit me.
Hey Claire, did you think this needed a pre-chorus?
It doesn't necessarily need a pre-chorus per se. It needs something that sits in a different place, because after a couple of minutes you start to lose like, okay, so what are the main moments that I'm supposed to grab onto, and what's more like a verse that's telling me a story. And it's because the melody kind of all sits around the same place. So I think it would be really great to, it doesn't mean there has to be a pre, but I think the chorus and the verse in particular need to feel more different to each other. Or maybe there needs to be another section. Maybe there needs to be a post that does something completely different. I just need a little, my ear needs to be surprised more. Do you know what I mean? And like more moments where you're like, oh, this is new.
Something to keep the interest.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think if you go back and listen to it again, and when you start off, if you pay attention to like, okay, what kind of note choices am I making? I think as it goes on, you'll be like, oh wow, we really stayed in that pocket because it felt nice, but we really didn't stray away from that little place on the keyboard or however wherever you see music in your mind. Like, yeah.
Cool. A lot of
Yeah.
a lot of mental notes there to take back, group.
You.
You got this, guys. You got this. All right.
Totally. And you're off to an amazing start.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, let's go to Stephanie and check this out here. So this is Stephanie's solo
Nice.
track. Let's hold on a sec.
Stephanie, do you want to tell me anything about this song while Ian's loading it up?
It was meant to be like an ambient piece with like atmospheric vibes,
Mhm.
kind of more like ethereal, like more expressing a mood than anything else. It's spiritual, about grasping onto light after overcoming a period of darkness.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Can't wait to hear it. And did you work on this entirely on your own?
Yes. I did the track too.
Nice. Well done.
Oh, hold on. Guys, here we go. It's called Farewell, Dear Darkness. Yes,
I was
yes.
waiting for the full
Yes.
fade out.
It is the full fade out.
Amazing. Well done for making that all on your own, all single-handedly, Stephanie. Really, really cool.
Thank you.
Tell me about the sort of like vocal parts of it. I feel like, was there a moment where you were singing lyrics, or did I like make that up in my head? I just heard them.
Yeah, I was singing the whole time.
Yeah.
But it was like I used like different like 60s vocal phaser. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Did you have
Um
the parts that you were singing? So obviously I could hear there's lots of like different layers of like atmospheric vocals and stuff.
yes.
Was there a moment where you're singing lyrics?
Yes.
Yeah. It says something about like heartbreak, or I felt like
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I really liked that moment, and I think it made like a really nice contrast. And especially because it made me do this thing where I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm like slipping into this like world, and now I'm like understanding. It's almost like there's a hidden message in it, which I thought was really cool. And I think you could make more of that. It'd be really, I think it could be really nice amongst all of those like atmospheric vocal layers that you're creating and stuff. We almost get it at the end, where I think it would be great to have a moment in the middle of the song where we get one voice, and just so it's like we get to actually sort of tune in to what you're saying. And maybe it could be that lyrical moment where you are actually saying lyrics, and maybe you can build that out a little bit more, and then start to bring back in the like atmospheric sounds. I really liked that. It reminded me of there's a Madonna song. I'm obsessed with Madonna, so I'll always reference her. On her Ray of Light album, where she's like mixing a lot of influences, there's a song called Om Shanti, and it brings in like different like religious chants, but in like a really joyful way. And I wonder if that could be something, an idea you could experiment with this song, of like different little nuggets of like inspiration and leaning into them, and maybe like taking a little pocket of that, and like it could be in a different language, or it could be like from a I don't know, a piece of writing about meditation or something, so that we start to build out some more like little ideas within this. I think that could be a really fun thing for you to explore with this song, and sort of dive deeper into like this theme.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. And check out that song that I mentioned. I think it's called Om Shanti. Yeah. And it's really joyful, and it has those sort of ethereal legs in it as well. Yeah. Roland's like, I know that song. Yeah. But really fantastic. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you to be like, hey, let's like try and structure it out with like a verse, pre and chorus, because I think this is an example of a piece of music that's not what this needs. Like you started off by saying like it's about a feeling and sort of immersing yourself, and I think that is what I got from this. So like let's lean in more, and like let's find some more bits of inspiration and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, really cool. Do you have any like questions for me, like specific, anything you were stuck with? Or
so for the languages, would you recommend like which one? Like anything? Or
I think, and this is where like making music, you get to also be like a little explorer, and spend time like on YouTube and listening to music and seeing what resonates with you. So any like themes around this song that feel interesting to you. So you talk about like light and darkness. To me, it was making me think of like meditation, which is why I said that, because it was kind of giving me that feeling. So if it was me, I might go and explore some like videos on YouTube of people talking about meditation, or like chants that someone might use in meditation, and seeing if any of that connected with me. But for you, maybe it's something different. Maybe it's leaning into something else, or maybe the song already is transporting you to a place when you listen to it. So maybe think of like what that place is. What language do they speak there? Is there a word that really resonates from there? and just, yeah, explore this like little world that you're building with your song and see what else like grows from it. Just see what inspires you. I hope that's
I think
helpful.
Stephanie is I think Stephanie is meditating on all of those things at the moment. That's great. That's great. Thanks, Claire.
No worries.
You okay there, Stephanie? Any other questions?
Stephanie meditating, or is Stephanie frozen on Zoom?
I think Stephanie frozen. Yeah, it could be.
So
All right,
deeply
all right.
transfixed by her song.
I'm going to thanks, Stephanie. Oh, she's totally
Oh
gone.
yeah, maybe her connection's gone. She
Yeah,
might be.
yeah. Okay, so let's go, Breeza. Let's go to yours. And this is Breeza's track. It's called Necessary Change.
Nice. While we're loading that up again, do you want to tell me anything about this song?
Yeah, so it starts off a little bit different. It's just like it starts off with an acapella.
Nice.
Well, I guess I shouldn't really ruin it, huh?
No,
But
that's cool.
but yeah, I pretty much wrote it myself. It's a lot of my music I like to write thinking that my little sister's gonna listen to it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so I just try to, I feel like I give a lot of advice in my songs or a lot of life lessons, you know?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how I write my music. When I write my music, I think about her.
Oh, that's so lovely.
There we go. Necessary Change.
Asking you may receive, but are you ready for when it gets here? Everything in your life is about to turn around, flip upside down, drastically change the way you look at the people who surround you. If they're not bringing you up, then they're here to bring you down and drown you. You can't stay the same. In order to grow, there's necessary change. If they ain't about the money, then tell 'em go away. Gotta keep it 100, don't forget where you came from. Cut the excuse, nothing's holding you back. If you're still there, it's 'cause you're too attached, too comfortable with your current situation. What's the point of living if you are not creating loving aspiration on only the pieces? Take your imagination to unordinary places. You already know you can't stay the same. In order to grow, you gotta change. And if it ain't about the money, then tell 'em go away. Don't got time to entertain all these lanes you are half-stepping. Gotta keep it 100. to live another day. You can stay the same. In order to grow, there's necessary change. If they ain't about the money, then tell 'em go away. Gotta keep it 100, don't forget where you came from.
Yes.
Yes, I
It
love that.
is a rough draft, okay? So
No, it sounds sick.
Yeah.
Amazing. Really, really well done.
Yes.
Yeah, I really love that.
Really awesome.
I'm trying to think where to start because there's lots of things I really, really loved about it. I really like the message behind your artistry of like wanting to kind of have a positive message and a positive influence and like writing with your little sister in mind. I think I really, really like that. I think your production on this is really great and really interesting and really cool. And there's lots of like different moments of melody and light and shade, and it's particularly like starting off with that a cappella moment and then hitting us with the production I really, really loved. I also really like, you almost have like you might describe it as being a different section, but to me your chorus is like an anti-chorus, which is really cool. So what I mean by that is where we build and build and build, and there's all this harmonic moment, and then we hit the chorus and things drop out, and you have that spoken section where you say, in order to go, there's necessary change, and then the beat kind of drops back in. I really, really love that. The only thing I would say is I'd kind of love to hear that a little bit more made out of that section. So one thing that I'd suggest doing is I kind of wanted to hear that specific line at least one more time. So you could kind of experiment with what feels right. You could make that section into 4 lines where after you say the line about keep it 100, you then sandwich it again at the end by saying, in order to grow, there's necessary change. Like, and kind of top and tail it. Or you could experiment with just having your hook just be that one line and just having it as a repeated thing, which could be really effective because you say quite a lot in your other sections. So sometimes it's really effective if we're lyrically saying a lot to then have this moment where we just kind of break it down, and it's sort of like we're condensing the whole message of this song. Like we're saying all of this stuff, but the part that I really want you to hear is this fact. And we kind of come back in with it. And I think just make a little, because that moment I think is really special. I think you've found your way to something really unique there. And I think just make a little more of it. So when we get that section the second time around, don't stray too far away from that idea again of it kind of being that spoken idea. Because I think the second time around you started to sing it more, which was really nice, but maybe those vocal layers can sort of sit more in the background so that we still have that spoken moment being the forefront, because I just think that's so cool. And I think it's such a nice contrast against all of the other stuff, particularly because of the way that you sort of produce and write. There's lots of like layered vocals and textures going on. So then to come back each time to this moment where you're saying this really meaningful thing is really cool. I also think like thinking about what like the message of this song is and what you're actually saying, that line like lyrically is really nice, just to be this moment of like stillness. And it's almost like, because I know that you're like talking to your sister, I'm like, let's like lean into that even more.
Yeah.
And that's the line that you want to just like keep reminding her of. Like there's all this other stuff that you're going to talk about, and then that line is this part that you just say like, hey, it's all okay because you've got to go through change. Like, so I think, yeah, just play around with that a bit more, just making a little bit more of that hook, and leading into that spoken idea. But I think that's really, really cool. And I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Did you have any questions? Like, were there any things that you were like stuck on or wondering about that you needed help with? Or
Honestly, I think I was feeling a little bit insecure about the acapella in the beginning.
oh no, I loved it.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, I guess I personally like it, but I felt like when I would show it to the people, I don't know if they understood it, but I don't know, maybe that's just me being insecure because they didn't say anything bad, but I get a little bit, I question myself a lot, I guess. And yeah, I did feel like it was kind of short.
In terms
I
of
didn't want to,
like the length of the whole song?
yeah, well, yeah, kind of.
Nah, you're good. Lengthwise, you're
No, it's a great,
yeah.
yeah, it's over, yeah, it's a good
Oh,
length.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Also, I just want to like bring you back for a second because this is something that's like I'm all about this. So you as an artist, as a creator, as a producer, as a songwriter and stuff, you write from a place of like wanting to empower and inspire your younger sister and just other people in general, right?
Right.
So for you to say about yourself, like, oh, I doubt myself, or like, no one said anything bad, but I'm just worried that maybe they think bad things. Like, I just want you to like flip it back and think like, hey, but like that's if my little sister was showing me this song, I'd be like, yes, you're killing it. You're amazing. And but you're telling yourself something different. So I think
Yeah, it reminds me of that Miley Cyrus song
which
where The Climb, where she's
one?
pretty much like saying the same thing, but it's like it's about the journey because I myself, when I write these songs, I also think to myself like a lot of this is me telling even me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But when you make music, you can, and like this is what I do with like the Girl Bunny stuff as well. You can also like, you can almost put on this persona hat where you're like this person that is singing this song and making this song and writing these words. This is not me. This is not me that like goes to work every day or gets in my car or like whatever like your life looks like. And this is not me that has insecurities about what other people might think of my work. Like this person singing this song doesn't give a about what anyone thinks. This person is like, this is what I've got to say. I'm here to share something positive. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Like, so maybe just like try and put on the persona of that person you're trying to be as an inspiration.
Yeah, there's some moments where I have
Yeah.
like earlier I was in the restroom like, man, everything I make, I swear it's gold. It's gold. But then I will have those insecure moments sometimes. But yeah,
Well, that is
I'm very back and forth in my own head.
I mean, that's not just you though. That's
Mhm.
being a creative person. Like you literally go through this circle of being like, I have ideas, and then being like, oh my God, my ideas are so good. This is like the greatest thing ever. And then being like, I'm not sure. Oh my God, I'm awful. I suck. I'm the worst person who ever allowed a melody to come out of their mouth. And then you just come back around. And honestly, that's just part of that's just being a creative person. So that side of things, you've just got to ride the wave.
Any last sort of words, Claire, before any sort of like, so we're back on Monday, same time. Any sort of summarizing words for everybody before they go off and sort of like create or edit their stuff, edit their work?
I think from like a practical point of view, try and think about some of those things that we talked about at the beginning in terms of like the different elements of our songs and what the different components of each of those elements are. So like, what makes our chorus a chorus? Okay, have I actually found that yet in my song? Am I giving different moments? Like, does the emotional arc of my song actually build? Yeah, have a think about some of those things from a practical point of view, and listen to some songs that you love, and when you're making stuff, music that you sort of feel inspired by, that like you feel like, oh, this is kind of in the same vibe, or like, yeah, like I'm really, this song, even though it's like a different genre, it's really making me think of like Prince, or I don't know, like, and then go and listen to some songs by that artist and just pay attention to the different elements within that song. That's like one thing I want everyone to kind of grow in a little bit more, I think, is just that idea of like the different elements within our writing. So yeah, listen to other music that you love, other music that you feel like inspires the songs that you're working on, and take real notice of the different melodic moments, the different rhythmic moments, and what the differences are. So that's from like a practical point of view. And as always, with like the sort of rules of songwriting, please insert quotes here when I say rules. You can absolutely sack those off at any time. You know, like I said to Stephanie, like, cool, we have established we can write a song with all these sections, but this song is not the song for that. Okay, so we can play around, we can choose when to use those foundations and when not to, but I really want us all to kind of think a little bit more about what the different elements within our song are. So that's
Right.
like our sort of practical challenge. Just on a like more overarching creative thought to carry with you, is that our songs are always just a constant work in progress, especially right now. Like, these are like really beginning fledglings of songs. So be patient with yourself, be patient with the people that you're working with, just be patient with the process, and just stay flexible with it. Allow yourself to be inspired by what someone else has done on a song that you're working on together, and so on, and just kind of just be open to where this process of making songs takes you. So yeah,
Thank you so much, Claire. Thank
I
you
hope
for
that's
being.
helpful. I hope I didn't talk too much as well. Sorry, I don't listen to Liza.
You're on a roll tonight. I mean, you're so generous with your time. It's amazing. But thank you so much.
I just really love it. I really love listening to your music, everyone, like truly, genuinely. So
That's great. That's great. Well, we'll see you again, everybody, next week. Thank you, Claire. We'll see you next week. Listen, have a great weekend, Claire, and we'll see you next week.
you
Okay.
too, everybody. Take care. See ya. Bye.